Hello, everyone. You're listening to the voice of Patricia Angelin at Alba Technique, and you are at All the Feels. You're looking at a beautiful bouquet given me today by Billy's Wholesale Flowers, which is right in the same building as our wonderful, wonderful Alba Technique studio, including the little boutonniere that was an extra that they had. So hello. Now we'll turn the camera around. I was speaking to you for 7 minutes before we realized that it was not live. So let's give this a shot again. Again, All the Feels, Patricia Angelin, seeing you on Alba Technique, All the Feels. Okay. On Sunday, I had a very interesting, to me anyway, and I think to a lot of people who were around me, experience. And it was an experience with anger, and specifically with anger uptake, I guess we could say, the flare of anger that happens. It was Sunday. I was sitting out in front of the building under a beautiful patio umbrella that the new florist, Billy's Wholesale, has put out there, and he arranges all the flowers around it, and the next door shop that sells trees and things, they put trees around. So it's really a very new addition to the neighborhood of the Alba Technique studio, and quite wonderful. I had taken my little walk. I had gotten my coffee. I had been to church. I brought my coffee back. I'm sitting there. And I think that it was, we hear a lot about safety right now. I think that I was feeling safe. I was feeling among friends and in like my own place. And all of a sudden, about only 4 feet from me, because I was really close to the street, a driver lays on his horn. It was a particularly difficult horn. Lays on my horn. It went right in my ear. And I'm quite sensitive orally. So it went right into my ear, and I reacted as though I was being attacked, which for my limbic system I was. So it would have been initially a fear reaction. Instantaneously it went from fear to anger. I leapt up with my coffee in my hand. I turned around to see the source. I shouted at him in my theatrically trained voice, "Stop that! Stop that honking! Stop it now!" And then I said, "I feel as though I want to throw my coffee at you." Ooh, woman. Huh. Yeah, nice and civil you, Pat. And his reaction was what was interesting to it, as much as my having said that out loud. This is an unprecedented experience in my life. And he, being from somewhere in the Middle East or the Central or Eastern Mediterranean area, he put his car in gear. He said, "You can't throw your coffee at me." And he throws his car in gear, stops it in the middle of the street. There's nobody behind him, and there was no reason for him to be honking, but never mind that. And he gets out and he stands there, and we're in a face-off. We're face to face, not real close, and there were no bad words said, which is kind of interesting in this situation. There was enough respect, younger man for older woman, that he didn't call me names, nor did I call him names. He didn't do anything bad, and he had misunderstood what I had said, understandably. And so he said, "You can't do that. You can't throw coffee at me, And I said, "Of course not. Of course I'm not going to throw coffee at you." He said, "You said you were going to go throw coffee at me." I said, "No, I did not say that." He said, "Yes, you did." I said, "No, I did not. I know what I said. What I said was, I feel as though I want to throw coffee at your car because of the honking." He says, "This is New York. Somebody gets in your way, you honk. You're not from New York." I said, "I've lived in New York since before you were born, and it's not necessary to let somebody know that they need to hurry along. It is not necessary for you to bang on that horn like that." I said, "Stop it." He said, "This is New York." I said, "I don't care." So we're like that. And I said, "I think I owe you an apology." And of course, that completely took him aback. I said, I owe you an apology, not for what I said, but you misheard it. So, and I shouldn't have said something like that out loud because it's very easily misinterpreted and you misinterpreted me. But I do apologize for saying that because I shouldn't have said that. I would never have thrown coffee at you or at your car. I said, I feel as though I wanted to. That's what I said. But I apologize to you for saying that because I shouldn't have said that. And there was a momentary pause, and he says, it's New York. I said, again, stop with the honking. You owe me an apology too. He said, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. I was more in the wrong than you were. I would admit that. I'm admitting that to you. I'm humbling myself before you and apologizing for what I did that was wrong. And so I'm more at fault than you are, but you need to apologize to me too. He goes, I apologize. I said, I do too. And then we turned around and he goes and he gets back into his car. And I saw that all the men in the flower shops from around me had come back and they were all standing in a potential fighting stance. So no wonder this young man, when he had the testosterone, uptake of the anger, because he was being challenged, he had the testosterone uptake. I was having, feeding in him. We have mirror neurons. So if a person is angry, the other person is going to get angry too. And that's why things ratchet up. Because when we're in anger, we feel utterly justified in whatever we're saying and whatever we're doing. So fortunately in this situation, there was no physical violence, thank God. There was also no verbal violence. There was raised decibel levels. So it was louder than normal, but it wasn't screaming. It was yelling, and yelling is different than screaming. And we were, not topping each other with that. It was just boom, at a boom, 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 done. So I turned around and I see all of this, and I thought, oh, dear Lord in heaven, no wonder this guy kept getting angrier. He was threatened by all of those men who literally had my back. I didn't even know they were there. So I turned around and after he had gone, I said, thank you all. And one of the guys says, yeah, we have your back, Pat. Nothing's happening to you on this block. I said, thank you so much, all of you. And he goes, are you okay? I said, I'm starting to shake. I'm going to sit right here where I was sitting before, and we'll hope nobody else honks at me. Nobody else was laughing. So I sat down. I did start to shake because of the aftermath of an adrenaline dump in a body that is accustomed to being very gentle and never raising her voice, and to really not engaging in conflict. I've always been a person who hasn't engaged much in conflict, trying to think with other persons, understand other persons, observe other persons and myself. So this is what happened. I was utterly astonished. And a little lady who'd been standing there, she was African-American lady, and she says, honey, don't you ever do a thing like that again. You're in New York. I said, yes, ma'am. I know I'm in New York. I've lived here for 40 years. And she looks at me like, yeah, I don't believe you. She said, do you know what could have happened? I said, yeah, I think I'm beginning to realize what could have happened. She says, yeah, you're just really lucky it didn't. You could not know what he had in his car. You had no way of knowing that. Or if he was even sane. And I said, ma'am, thank you. You are absolutely right. Well, she said, we'll never do it again. You know how angry people are right now? All of the activists, all of the violence. People are angry. I said, yes, ma'am, I think I just proved it, didn't I? She said, don't ever do it again. You're really lucky. I said, you are right. I hear you. I won't. And thank you for telling me that. She says, you're welcome. Don't. I said, I won't. So then I sat down. But isn't that an interesting prime example only 3 days ago of how on edge even people who prior to the pandemic would never have been on edge in that way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and gals, if that can happen to me, it can happen to you. I am just fortunate that after all of these years of working with my emotions, my left brain critical faculty kicks in pretty quickly, which is why I was able to realize with my reason, as opposed to my emotions, that even though I was angry, that I did owe him an apology, because I perceived correctly that he misunderstood what I said. I perceived that he was incapable of making distinctions and nuances between feeling and doing, and that is endemic in our society. Feeling is doing to most people. And here at All the Feels, I want you to know that feeling is not doing, and it's much better than it not be doing. To be passionate does not excuse bad behavior civilly. It does not it does not mean that I would get to shout abuse at that man, even though he did. He hurt me. He hurt my body. He could have had no way of knowing he hurt my body. My body is very sensitive that way. But that's not the point. The point is my limbic system reacted as though I had to fight my way out of a dangerous situation. And all too often right now, that's how our body minds are feeling. We're feeling as though we don't know what's happening next. There is no place of safety. We're financially concerned. We have all of these underlying fears, and it's everybody that's got them. And this is the case in point. If I have it, then in your way, uniquely, so do you. I would be very happy to hear from you as to how you might have observed, as we're coming out of the pandemic, how these kind of feelings are playing out in your life and what you observe, so that we can continue this conversation and talk about the feelings which are so real and what we do with them, which have major consequences. What we do have more consequences outside of ourselves than how we feel. So thanking you so much for joining me. And an apology for coming live late. I thought I was live for 7.5 minutes, and I was not. So we're going to end 5 minutes early. I'm going to turn the camera around so that the last view that you have, well, I should move my head. Look at this beautiful, beautiful little oil painting of fishermen on the Caribbean. Isn't that lovely? Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And turning it around. And reframing it a little here. And letting you see this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bouquet. And look it in, drink in beauty with your eyes. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth, allowing your eyes to relax upon beauty, allowing the tension of the eyes to release, because what is in front of them is beautiful and totally unthreatening and absolutely good. Blessings upon you, and thank you for joining me.